Rassie is doubling down on experience. The Springbok 23 has officially been confirmed for this weekend, although there is an asterisk next to one of the names, so not entirely sure exactly what the 23 that we will see. Siya Kolisi has been named on the side, not as captain, which is a big call, but obviously it's because of the injury asterisk next to him. Paul de Villiers has been named in brackets with the proviso that Siya Kolisi needs to get through training this week to start this weekend, which is going to ruffle a lot of feathers because there'll be a lot of people saying, well, why name a team on Monday if you're not sure about his fitness? Why risk him if you're not entirely sure about his fitness? But apart from that, pretty much the same 15 that started, but big changes to the bench. Deon Fourie is back into the side. Thomas du Toit back into the side. Lood de Jager back into the side. And big opportunities for Cameron Hanekom as well as Moni van den Berg. And the big call is at 10 with Handre Pollard getting an opportunity in the number 10 jersey. And he'll be next to Kobus Reinach, who will start with Grant Williams dropping out of the 23 altogether. So maybe not that many changes, but some pretty significant ones within this box start. Before we get into it, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Please do go and check out the Freedom Sports Members Club. Link in the description. We will have a full stat pack out very shortly about the exact side that has been selected, what the thinking is, what the change in the caps are. And if Siya Kolisi, by the way, is fit, this will be the most experienced Springbok team ever come Saturday. So when the going gets tough, Rassie always speaks about the fact that you need to have the experience to be able to get through it, and that's what they've stuck with their guns. Yes, a couple of youngsters on the bench and newbies in the form of a Moni van den Berg and a Cameron Hanekom, but also going to the likes of a Deon Fourie to try and bring that experience. So this is the side that has been named. 1 through to 15, Ox Nche, Malcolm Marx, Wilco Low. No changes in the tight five as Eben Etzebeth and Ruan Nokia also get another start. The only change to the loose trio would be Siya Kolisi if he were to get through this week and start number 6 jersey. Otherwise, Paul de Villiers will start. Although it doesn't say any sort of proviso about whether Paul de Villiers will drop down to the bench should he not start. You've then got Pieter-Steph du Toit as captain. Jasper Wiese retains the number 8. The first changes official that we can confirm is the 9-10 combination. Kobus Reinach comes into the starting lineup and will partner Handre Pollard. We always go back to him, don't we? When the times are tough, when we need to grind out a result, especially in Cape Town, we did last year against Australia, we go back to Handre Pollard. I think the conditions might dictate this, possible bit of rain on Saturday, but you've got to feel hard done by Ismail Ebok, who I still believe is our best number 10. Doesn't make the 23. The reason this week is because we've gone with a 6-2 split, although it is kind of a 5-3 with Andre Esterhuizen, but we saw last week what happened when we didn't have an option at sort of on the wing. Now got Sasha can kind of play 10, 15, can potentially put Damien at 12. Williams at 12. Ethan Hooker comes into the side as well in the other really big change. So no Cheslin Colby, which is a huge loss. Kirtley Arndt is fit and will move to the number 14. Damien Delende, JC Creel continues in their centre partnership. So no Kanan Moody, which was the question mark. And then Damien Willemse in the 15 jersey. Well, if we're talking about experience, Deon Fourie coming in on 40 years old. And to be fair, I think he'll be one of the most popular selections. And we need to see that desire, that fight in the number 16 jersey. But concerning, because he'll be covering Hooker here. And the reason that's concerning is that we just actually came back from Ellis Park. We were changed to Julian Reddinghuis at the Lions jersey launch. And he was saying that, Asafa Amour is a very good scrummaging hooker. And that was one of the big differences when the All Blacks found parity, is that they had a better scrummaging hooker. Now, Deon Fourie will not be as good of a scrummaging hooker, to my knowledge, as potentially like a Johan Grobbelaar. So it's an interesting decision. However, Thomas du Toit packs obviously much of a bigger punch scrum time than Zach Portham. So that's a big difference in that. Much the same as Lood de Jager coming onto the bench. I can't understand having Kobus Wiese on the bench this last weekend, putting him on for 7 minutes, then taking him out the side. We're going experience on experience here. That is the core. Except having said that, obviously Andre Esterhuizen's number 20 jersey, you got to keep that going. He was brilliant over the weekend when he came on at inside center. They'll want to use him, I'm sure, as more of a flank this weekend. And then Cameron Hanekom comes in, as does Moni van den Berg. So, resisted bringing in or keeping a Grant Williams on the bench and Sasha on the bench as well. So it's an interesting bomb squad because it's not what we saw last week in terms of the pace and kind of being able to really up the ante. This is far more of a tactical arm wrestle type side, which is probably very much Cape Town related. And the weather's going to play a big part. There is expected to be rain, and that's the big thing. So I want to get exactly what the conditions are going to be, because there is a 55% chance of rain. It's supposed to be 16 degrees, and you're looking at wind speeds of up to about 80 kilometers an hour. So you do expect it to be windy. And now that's why Jason Colby is injured, and that's why he does not feature. But that's why we've gone with an Ethan Hooker, because I think we want to be very competitive in the air. And we've gone with Handre Pollard as well. So if you're not a fan of the Springbok kicking game, well, then get ready for yourself, because that's exactly what this team is designed to do. And in fairness, we've got to also play the conditions. Yes, we didn't play particularly well this past weekend in terms of being the free-flowing team that I think we can be. However, you cannot just based on that then this weekend decide that we need to now try and throw caution to the wind, because the conditions, and this is where I think is probably going to be the Boks' biggest asset, we actually almost want the rain to a certain degree. Because if this becomes an arm wrestle and a proper heavyweight boxing match type of thing where we just are literally hammering it out, this is the team to do exactly that. And the Boks will be more suited to that than an All Black side, which has been trying to get back to sort of the running ways. Although we also saw the All Blacks move away from their running ways this past weekend. So very, very interesting in terms of that. So Grant Williams, Ches and Colby injured. So Rassie has had to say about the following. He said, Ches and Grant suffered niggles last weekend, which ruled them out of contention. We have bracketed Sia alongside Paul to allow us time to monitor how Sia comes through training this week. The changes we made are in line with what we want to achieve on the field this week, and it is valuable that almost all of the players have been involved in the last 2 games, so they'll be able to cope with the intensity and physicality of this match. Erasmus says, exciting having flowers with different skills. He says, Handre has delivered for us under extreme pressure, and we feel that what he and Kubas have the potential to bring at the beginning of the game, and then have Morne and Sasha to come on later with their different styles of play, will be good for us. I mean, it's a huge call that, to bring on Morne van den Berg and Sasha Famigom-Mazulu to see out the game. I, however, do think we are going to potentially see Sasha at 15 rather than at 10. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see Damian Willems switch to 12. We see Sasha come on at 15. And Pollard stays at 10 for kind of the entire match. Because, yeah, I mean, if you're going to have Handre Pollard, you want him there in the pressure moments, don't you? You want him there at a time where things are going to get very antsy and you kind of sitting there going, ooh, hang on, now what? Now what do we do? That's where you want the calm head. So you don't really want to be able to take him off at 60 minutes, isn't it? So it's a huge call. I think this is a very bold call. I don't think it's going to be a very popular team. A lot of people speaking about the fact that the old guard aren't quite there, which I don't quite agree with, because I think if you look at the top performers over the weekend, you know, Jasper Wiese is 30 years old. Malcolm Marx is into his 30s. Wilco Low is not a youngster. Thomas du Toit is not a youngster. You know, Ox Nche is making his 50th appearance, by the way. Obviously, Pieter-Steph du Toit's 100th as well. And we kind of almost become sideshows, that part, given the fact that it's all about getting that result. But I wouldn't say it was necessarily the old guard that let us down completely over the weekend. You've got to find that balance. And at the end of the day, I think it's also about just picking form. And that's where like a Dion Fourie selection excites me, because that is a complete form selection. He is playing one of the best rugby he's ever played. Put him in the side. You know, there'll be big question marks about this team. Can it get the job? 100% it can get the job done. But there will definitely be question marks and maybe a bit of worries about exactly what we're going to see on Saturday. Play to the conditions is what I say, and this team is picked for exactly that.